Hi there, it is Emily with E-Scored Photography. Erin is not with us today, but we are going to talk all about shooting in direct sun or situations in when you can't avoid the sun, or recommendations on what to do when it is middle of the day, super sunny. And stick around until the end because I have something special just for you. And I promise by the end of this video, you're going to have ideas and some inspiration on what you can do to help you get better images when it is middle of the day sunny. And don't forget, for the best photography tips and tricks, make sure to subscribe to our channel and hit that bell for notifications of future videos. Okay, so shooting in direct sun. The first little tip we want to give you is when it is middle of the day sunny. Sometimes we book sessions in the middle of the day, or we are shooting a wedding and we have to do a lot of the portraits at noon in the middle of the day when the sun is high and it's not very flattering. So the first tip I have for you is avoid it if you can. And I know that seems obvious, but if you don't have to be out in the middle of a field, in the middle of bright sun, avoid it if you can. So taking a look at these two images here, they're shot at the same location, but one is shot when the sun is pretty high still, and one is shot when the sun is going down. So obviously, if we can avoid having to shoot in the middle of the day, period, we absolutely will, because we like the image on the right quite a bit better than the image on the left. Now, obviously, that is not always the case. You can't always do that. So if it is middle of the day, let's say we're at a wedding and it's noon and we're looking to shoot some of the bridesmaid shots or whatever it might be, we are always looking for shade. So find shade. And when we're looking for shade, one big thing we think about when we're looking for shade is that it's open shade. So what we mean by open shade is that you can look up at the sky or up above and see the sky, and you don't see any big overhangs over or big canopy of trees or whatever that might be. So as much as we can, we try to do that open shade when possible. The next tip, which always isn't always the easiest when it is in the middle of the day, but if it is somewhat getting closer to sunset, you might be able to find filtered sun. We really, really like filtered sun. And what we mean by that is if you look at these images here of Carissa, we have actually filtered the sun through the trees. So instead of the sun just coming right directly at our camera, we found a spot where the sun is peeking through those trees. And that really prevents that super hazy look. So anytime you can filter the sun through trees or on the side of a building or whatever it might be, that is always our preference. Now, like I said, sometimes you can't do that and the sun is going to come directly into your camera, and that's going to give you a lens flare. Now, we typically don't love lens flares. This image is pretty cute. We still love it with the lens flare just because it just goes with the whole vibe of her and her guitar and all of that. But we do try to avoid lens flare whenever we possibly can. So lens flare is when you get little bit of haziness in your picture or just discoloration or some funky stuff going on. So what we do to avoid lens flare and haze is, one, we filter the sun, but two, we move our bodies around and change where we're shooting so the sun doesn't come directly into our lens. Or we might move the client around, and the client might act as a block for sun coming into our lens too. The biggest way to do this, if it's at all possible, is to shade yourself. If you can shade yourself, you should avoid that lens flare. And you could shade yourself by standing in a block of shade. You could shade yourself by using the client or clients that you're shooting. They can shade you. You could use a big reflector, have someone hold a reflector to block the sun from entering your lens as well. Now, if there is limited open shade and or filtered sun, what would you do? So what we would do is we can't find that open shade, we can't find that filtered sun, we still don't want to shoot out in the direct sun. So what we're going to do is we're going to find slight coverage. So in these images here, we were under a little porch area or whatever you want to call it, but we pulled them out as close to the edge as we could. We were standing in the bright sun, but we pulled them out towards the edge as much as we could because then more light is going to hit their face. So here's kind of an example of two different shots. We did this with this wedding party in the middle of the day. The one on the left is under that nice shaded area. The light is beautiful. Their faces are lit great. The one on the right, they wanted some shots out in the field area with the venue in the background, but here it just doesn't look as professional, as good as we would like. So we avoid that. Comment below and let us know, what is your biggest frustration when it comes to lighting? Another thing that we will do if we are stuck in the middle of the day shooting is we will shoot inside. Not very often, but we will still shoot inside so we can get some shots. And the biggest thing to shooting inside for us is finding nice big windows with good natural window light that can hit our subject nicely. So that is another alternative. Now, our last resort, if none of that's going to work, we can't find any of that, or if our clients really have an idea stuck in their head, what we will do is we will shoot with the sun behind the subject. So as you can see in this image here, we always tell them to face us so their shadows are in front of them and the sun is directly behind them. Then what's gonna happen is you're going to have nice even light on them, and they're going to look really nice. It's very bright in the background, but the light on them will look very nice. And here's just another example. So the background in these situations will naturally be bright, but their faces will be lit well. Now, one reason we avoid to put them out in the direct sun, I mean, the pictures look all right, but they don't look as professional as we would like them to. And in the end, they are a little bit more tricky to edit. So if you are stuck shooting in the middle of the day out in the full sun, what settings would we typically use? We would use a very low ISO, maybe 100, 200. Whatever f-stop we would need for however many people we're shooting, and then our shutter speed is naturally going to be very high, which is totally okay. One other quick thing I just want to touch base on is something called spotty light. So this is when you kind of have a shaded area, but there are blotches of sun hitting that shaded area. We would, in a situation where we would have, let's say, a big wedding party in spotty light, where there might be sunspots on here and there, certain people, on their jackets, on their dresses, whatever that might be. In a situation like that, if we can't find a good solid chunk of shade, we are actually going to choose that wide open direct light instead of the spotty light, because we really don't like the way the spotty light distracts your eye from the subject and what really matters. Okay, so hopefully that was helpful in giving you some ideas of how to shoot when you're stuck in the middle of the day and what we typically like to do. Now, if you are interested in a little bit more, we do have a free behind the scenes family session. So we have a full family session where we are behind the scenes and we are showing you all of the different things, posing, lighting, how we interact with clients, all of those things. And then we actually edit those images as well for you so you can see how we do that. And that is absolutely free. And you can check that out in the description below. Now, if you found this video helpful, make sure to like, subscribe to let us know that we should make more videos just like this one. And if you don't already, follow us on Instagram at e2photography, and we will see you next time.